I'll share my vision, but first I need to tell you that I'm really concerned about the agriculture and how we do it today, because we all help and expect modern agriculture to feed all of us. But it has really not the best impact on Earth. It actually destroys our Earth the way we do it now, because using chemical fertilizers makes erosion to our fertile land and also pollutes groundwater. So we waste our land and water that we totally depend on. So my vision is to produce biofertilizer that would make use of chemical ones totally useless. So production of biofertilizer would make organic farming much easier. And also another part of the project is to utilize local redundant biomass that we use to make biofertilizer. So we are coping this problem of doing recycling, because organic biomass can cause also huge problems. So let's move. So production of biofertilizer, as you can see, these are tomato plants that are grown at exactly same conditions. And on the left, you see the use of chemical fertilizers, and on the right, that's the biofertilizer that I'm producing now. And just 30% of it provides twice growth on plants. So it provides complete nourishing and plants are flourishing. And my new innovation is on the background. You see, that's our biofertilizer pellets. I've been doing this more than 3 years, producing of biofertilizer, but I faced a lot of problems because on huge scale, farmers can't apply the biofertilizer with their machine. So my innovation is to produce biofertilizer into pellets that could be dispatched by regular machines that are used on the fields. And production of biofertilizer
We're
makes...
out of time, but we'll ask you to come up here and then we'll get some questions in. Awesome, and this time why don't we start with Gabe with questions?
Sure. I'm not clear on exactly what the novel component of your business is. Can you clarify for me?
The model is to produce organic fertilizer into pellet form that would make it possible to spread on huge fields and would make the use of chemical fertilizer useless.
So you're saying biofertilizer isn't made in pellet form right now, and if so, why isn't anybody else doing this?
I don't know. That's why it's my innovation came upon.
Actually, they're producing it in pellets in Canada and in China only. And yeah, it's really surprising. How come in Europe nobody does that?
Right, but what is the benefit? I mean, all over the United States, farmers spread cow manure on their crops every day. That's the most honest biofertilizer. What is the advantage of putting it in pellets other than maybe it's less icky?
Actually, when farmers use cow manure or any kind of manure, it contains uncontrolled quantity of nitrogen that brings a very high level of nitrates. And that's a problem also for the food we eat. And when we have this biofertilizer, it's my kind of special recipe that I make. It contains a lot of effective microorganisms, fungi that helps the plants to grow healthy and strong.
Okay. And you said you've been making this for 3 years. Have you been selling it? And are you achieving revenue now? And is that revenue growing?
Yes, I've been selling compost and this biofertilizer for more than 3 years, but I faced the problem that when I want to grow on huge scale, farmers say we can't dispatch this fertilizer at our fields because it's like grinded coffee, so their machines can't spread it on huge scale. But I have a lot of customers that use it at home, and they're really proud of the benefits.
What is your sales volume going to be this year, approximately?
Excuse me? What's the...
Your revenue from sales for this year?
Less than $10,000.
And what was it in 2013?
Probably half.
Okay, good for you. Congratulations.
But if your main client is going to be the consumers, small consumers that take this for home applications, presumably, you need marketing. How are you going to solve this problem? How are you going to communicate to the end consumer?
Well, actually, our main market target right now is big fields, like big production companies that have big fields that need to be fertilized. Right now, the small people, the people that are having gardens and are fertilizing their own production, they're already buying it, so they are already our customers. So the new innovation is actually the pellets of the fertilizer. The form of it.
So if I get it correctly, you have managed to bring this biofertilizer into the pellet form, exactly. So big farming machines will be able to use it in larger fields.
In larger scales, and we hope that with this we could, increase bio production of food also, because like when the food is healthy and the people are healthy.
So, would you like to speak a little bit more about your secret recipe? I mean, the fungi, is it manure? What's in the pellets? That's what's going to be actually selling to people. So that is what is the more interesting stuff, and we haven't heard anything about it.
So at my farm, I bring stuff that people call waste. Let's say they throw away their leaves from the garden, or there's a lavender distillery close to me, so they produce, when they derive the essential oils, they throw away the rest that is organic matter, and that's exactly that I need to process. So I process this organic matter into compost, by the means of a lot of ways, like I use effective microorganisms, fungi and worms to create this biofertilizer.
And we're going to start with the advice on this side.
Okay. Well, I was, from your presentation and from your answers so far, I detect that perhaps you're experimenting on your product and you're seeing good results in the field. So if you could somehow document this in a more, I guess, a scientific way. I don't know if you're doing it or not. I was going to ask you this.
Yes, we are.
In a way that you can actually reach larger scale operations and so on. And I'm also wondering about the product stability. If the product is so you make a batch of pellets, and then the next batch, is it going to have the same exact characteristics or not? So are you following a recipe, or are you just following a methodology? So is this so as long as you have a stable product that's doing good results, if the product is differentiated from, I guess, if you're using it for one kind of production or another kind of production, if you have several types of products, I would say that you would want to document like your product offering explain its benefits and be a bit more clear about why they should prefer this other than besides the pellet form. Because the pellet form, I think it's very replicatable. I mean, somebody could easily go ahead and do their biofertilizer, and so I wouldn't be stuck with just the format. I think this is the easiest to replicate, but not your successes. So if you're actually doing something that's interesting, if you're doing something that's organic, or I think you should focus more on this, and then the delivery system it just adds to it, I guess, until somebody else picks up on it or everybody else. Okay.
Just in terms of presentation, now that we have the advice on product standardization and product benefits, it would be nice to know that the farmers would also buy it because it's perhaps cheaper than a chemical fertilizer, or it's not, I don't know. So you should talk about that too.
It's really pity that it was...
I think the biggest problem is the conflict between the innovation, which is the pellet form, and the fact that the machines cannot disperse it. So you are excluded from the big clients that are dispersing their fertilizers with machines. This is what you need to solve.
I couldn't agree more. I would also add that I think you need to focus on the highest value market opportunity. I was in your beautiful country 5 or 6 weeks ago. Rose petals are probably, my guess, the highest value agriculture production in Bulgaria. Create a pellet that rose petal growers want to use and focus on that first, is my...
Thanks.
Thank you. I think that's all our time for.